We are live.
Credit where it's due. Thank you, Craig, for being here with me and the Gearheads on Father's Day.
This is me showing how much I hate the show, right, fellas?
Well, for the people that wonder why, Mike, why do you berate and humiliate Craig as often as you do? And it's to lower his self esteem so that he feels like he has to be here on the high holidays, like Father's Day.
Honestly, at one point today, I was like, "Yeah, we'll go record. It'll be fine." Now I'm like, "Thank fucking God, I don't want to be in my house."
Why is that? Trouble in paradise?
Oh, yeah, you'd think it's Mother's Day in there.
These broads, they can't give us one, can they?
Yeah, no, just give me one day. That's all I ask for. I can do what I want.
First and foremost, I have to address a couple big "why are you laughing" issues. I'm not sure if you've seen this, Craig. Boy,
Probably.
do we look like fools. Yeah, you can stop messaging me to let me know. I am well aware now that the Bus Boys were the band that opened for Eddie Murphy. I understand that it wasn't actual Bus Boys. I have been briefed on that now.
I honestly thought that was. I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen, but I thought that was
In
the.
hindsight, I think we sound like fucking idiots because it's not at a comedy club. I don't know why I was like, oh, he's thinking the Bus Boys. That's nice. The little guy, the blue collar workers.
It's the end of the world
But
if you do that.
well, most people were just like, hey, just so you know, that was a band, the Bus Boys, which I was not familiar with at all. And to be fair, it's not like he said, everyone put your hands together for the Beatles, and I was like, why is he thanking Bugs? It doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know how popular the Bus Boys were in the '80s, but there was one guy that was like, hey, fuckhead. Oh no, this is my favorite when they go to like they call you an idiot and then they go to like 80s insults. He goes, research much? Like, oh, you nailed me. Which makes me want to put them through an episode just about like Paul Schaefer and Kevin Eubanks.
Yeah, my
Fine, you
favorite.
want me to research the bands? I'll do it.
My favorite are the people that hate like mine, Mike, and Matt's contributions, like a Greg Polar type, that really hates that you're not alone on this show.
I thought Greg Polar was very funny. He made me laugh a lot when he was on the other day.
He was funny. He doesn't project though.
No, he's quiet, but that's such a dumb reason to criticize someone because then you get the opposite where I'm so loud. Like then there's just it's me literally screaming for attention.
It's very funny when we
Greg doesn't need to do that.
When we record in person, I have you so low on the board because it evens out.
I remember Steve saying something like he had my mic. There was a specific setting he had to put on my mic because I'm so loud.
Well, you should be. You should be loud.
Well, I need to be noticed, God forbid.
And then the other thing I saw was people were pissed that we were laughing at Eddie Murphy's clips.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's and Mike Mike really took umbrage with it.
Oh God.
he
what did he do?
It was him v Sarandis part 2.
Oh, what do you just ignore it, Mike? What are you doing?
Oh, just mute the guy.
Really? I mean, or don't. Don't mute him, whatever. But just don't get so fucking riled up about it.
Yeah, he's also got COVID, so he's just not right now.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, oh, you guys laughed at one of the greatest comedy specials of all times, you pigs.
Yeah, it's not like we were like breaking down something either. We were just like, look how great this comedy special is. Imagine if we watched it stone faced.
But not only were we breaking it down, I think the theme of the entire episode was you couldn't get away with this shit now. But I don't think that means Eddie Murphy is a horrible bigot. And we talked about him apologizing for it in 1996. So how you could not, I don't know. I don't even really think about that. But I didn't see many of those messages.
Yeah, because you weren't the
I wasn't the target.
You weren't the target.
Okay. Well, Mike, the other
if you so much better by himself. Okay.
Well, I don't know what you guys want.
I was like, I don't know I don't know what you guys want. You want a super serious guy by himself or a group of people laughing and having fun with the topic?
So merriment. Well, the other, if you guys want to see, if you think Craig was laughing in that episode, if you want to see a rock hard man for an hour and a half discuss comedy, wait till our episode with Royce Lopez in a couple weeks.
Oh, I'm gonna
We
get
had
so yeah.
we had our boy Royce Lopez on from the Revenge of the Cis podcast. He's a funny guy. He was very good. And as you can tell by the name of their podcast, they do a lot of the stuff. If you hate me talking about cancel culture and that type of shit, I don't think you would love that podcast, but they're very funny guys. And Craig was in his element. He's like, finally, someone will appreciate the jokes that I'm telling here. And Royce loved him too, I think. It was disturbing.
Mike didn't like that. Although there's a Sandlot reference in this episode that blew my mind at how good it was.
I couldn't believe it.
He just three tags
Yeah.
just immediately. It was very funny.
Yeah, so we've got that episode coming out. It's a little different than your usual Why You Laughing, but I thought it was a fun one. So
Yeah, it was supposed to be celebrities trying stand up, and then it immediately just became we hate
make it fun. Well, we got some jokes about T.I. and Rob Schneider in there, you know.
Oh, that was the worst. Yeah, you'll see. It's something.
Yeah. So stay tuned to Why You Laughing. If you're a Why You Laughing fan, a Blind Mike Project fan, whatever, go to blindmike.net, and that's where you can find all the links to everything, including Craig's Twitter, where you can subscribe to the Patreon, find our merchandise, buy our merch. I gotta say, I got a Gearhead tank top. As you can see, I've been wearing it on the Patreon here and there, and I like them. I feel like for a gentleman my size, you don't find a tank top that fits you well that often. I'm a big fan.
It's all about how the tank top fits the pec area for the big guys.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
If it's loose, you're like, damn, I found my shirt.
Yeah. So yeah, I did, as Craig mentioned before we started, I had a Friday night wedding the other day. And I got to tell you, I've come around on the idea of this. I kind of like it because I found out what they did is, yes, if you're leaving work at 5 to get to a 5:30 Friday evening wedding, that's a pain in the ass. But the way they did it is, I think, like, most of the important people just like kind of took the week off and they were out like drinking Wednesday and Thursday. I wasn't there for any of that, but like during the week they made it sort of a celebration as well, which seems like a decent idea. I'm not opposed to that, really.
Yeah. Yep. I like the thought of that. The only problem is people who can't take the days off.
Yeah. Well, the first wedding me and Alba went to was a Friday night wedding, and she worked till 5, and I was in the wedding, so I was there all day. But Alba like had to rush, sit in rush hour traffic and everything to get there. So that would be a pain in the ass, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you say it was on the Cape?
No, it was in Providence.
Oh, still south, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. But it was it was a lovely time. But I have two things to bring to the gearheads. One, I put a poll out on Twitter for, and I feel I was vindicated. This was a very Larry David-esque moment for me, where I felt like I was changing society, really. Societal norms I had by the balls. So the other day, I say, and I feel that this was very gentlemanly of me. Alba said, "How much should we give for the wedding gift?" And I said, "Listen, sweetheart, keep your money in your pocket. I'm paying the whole thing." I said 300 bones. That's pretty good, right?
That's solid. I usually do like $100 a person.
I figured 150 each just because he's a good buddy of mine, this guy.
Yeah.
So, and that's still not, it's nothing crazy. So I'm not looking to be patted on the back, although I would appreciate it from you people for once, for Christ's sake. So I thought that was a decent amount. And Alba says, "Do you need me to bring you by the ATM or anything so you can grab the money?" I go, "Nah, I was just going to Venmo it to him."
Oh, yes.
Which as I say the sentence out loud, I understand it doesn't sound like the fanciest of gestures, but we live in a digital age, a paperless world. I don't think that's that crazy, and I think it's what we should start doing. Enough of this nonsense. I have to print out $300 bills for him just so he can put it in the bank.
The
If I
only
Venmo it to him, he's already got it.
right. The only thing with that is it looks like you got there and went, "Oh fuck."
That's a good point that I didn't really think of.
That's
But I
the
could have
only
done it
thing.
the day before.
If you did it the day before, that's different. But if you do it the
Hey, you
day
got
after
something to
wedding,
look forward to, buddy.
did you get a card that said I Venmoed you?
So I ended up not doing it, and I'll tell you why. The one comment on Twitter changed my ways a little bit. He said, "Would you rather get a notification, like an email notification, that money's in your Venmo, or rather some crisp $100 bills in your hand?" And I said, "All right, that's not a terrible angle. That's a good point."
If you get if you Venmo the day before and still get a card, I think you're safe. If you don't do a card and you Venmo day of wedding, it looks like you forgot.
You get a card, check your Venmo. I
Yeah,
await the thank you.
it's like if you go do pickup on a delivery, like if you order like a pizza or something for pickup where it says tip, you
Mhm.
just write cash and you leave like a buck or two in the thing.
Yeah, you cross it out.
Yeah, yeah, it says I write cash there all the time.
That's smart. Because when I've done that, I've just put an X through the line, which probably isn't a great look now that I think about
Tip? Yeah, right.
it. As if.
I would never do something like that.
So yeah, so I think, at least according to Twitter, the majority of people were on my side there. Alba called me trash was the word that she chose to use,
I
which I
understand.
felt was a little extreme.
I understand that though.
Garbage, she compared me to. But my point was, then you've got it in your bank account. But I think I made my point. Society was with me on that one. We can chalk it up to a victory.
Now she expects a proposal via email.
That'd be a lot easier for me, to be honest with you.
It probably would.
Boy, would that be nice. We doing this? What do you say?
RSVP, yes, no, maybe.
Or I just put on, like, connect my YouTube to the TV one night, and we're sitting on the couch, and I just bring up proposal videos, and I'm like, huh? What do you think?
Here you go. What kind of setting do you want? And you just put like a beach
Picture
setting.
that as me. Would you
No,
say yes?
all you do is you get a nice setting on the TV,
Yeah.
right? She like wants a nice fancy Miami Beach thing. So you just put a nice beach setting on the TV and just propose in front of
Ooh, where are we?
it. And then you stand up in front of the TV and just get on a knee.
Should we catch a
Yeah.
Heat game after this?
We can show up at halftime, pretend we care.
um, but my only real gripe from this wedding is that I don't understand. Did we do this on air where I talked about going to some party or something where people were trying to shake my hand?
Briefly, I believe
Again, someone that's known me for years. I don't see them very often, but they've known me since college. They stick their hand out to shake my hand and then kind of make a joke like, I don't know if you can see it. I'm sticking my hand out. I'm going to shake your hand. And I'm like, well, now I literally have a cane to let you know, please don't do this. Please don't humiliate me. Why do you need to shake my hand that badly that you are making an effort to do it? And then when you don't get the handshake back, announce it. Like, hey, we have to do this.
well, to be fair too, though, he met you probably when you were in a better stage of your visual abilities. So you probably saw the
Sure.
hands back then.
Yes and no. It was never great,
Yeah.
But
True.
even my point is, it was never a miraculous experience where you're like, thank God I got that handshake from him. Because if I didn't,
I think the first
what would be even the point of seeing him?
I think the first time I met you, I went for the handshake and it was pretty successful, but I felt weird doing it. I haven't gone for one since.
Well, here's my thing. Having the instinct to go for a handshake is not weird. I totally understand that. Never offended by it. Completely get it. What my issue is when you go for the handshake, I don't see it, or I just want to pretend I don't see it because I don't feel like engaging.
Yeah.
And you go the extra mile to be like, come on, buddy. I will not settle for no. We're going to get this handshake, whether you like it or not. I don't understand these people.
This is going down, and you're shaking my hand. By the way, it's
Yeah,
clammy.
whether you want it or not, we're doing this. It's akin to rape, frankly. These people are raping me
That's what I thought when I first
via
heard the
handshake.
story. I went, "Oh my god."
I'm
He
being
too.
molested.
You and Dave Cullinane, the He Too story.
Oh, speaking of Cullinane, another fun interaction I had with someone was my buddy Dave that I went to college with was not at this wedding, but he's a guy I was friendly with, and then we just kind of lost touch over the years a little bit. But I have two Daves in my phone, so very often I'll just type in Dave and hit the contact and be like, usual schedule Monday and Wednesday this week, or send a link to some like bad radio or something like that. And this kid Dave from Westfield State will be like, "Yeah, man, it's again. I am not Dave Cullinane."
I wish
To
I
the
was.
point where like the first time I did this, I was like, "Ah, shit, sorry, buddy, but we got to get together sometime." Blah blah blah. Now I don't even respond. Like I don't send a follow up. Sorry, this wasn't for you. I'm just like he knows this was not meant for him.
You gotta change one of them to David.
Yeah, or just cut Cullinane should be in my phone just as that. No Dave.
Yeah. He went to, the US Open on Friday, and he was looking for a shuttle to get there because you can't, like, park where it was because it's in Brighton, and there's, like, a ton of people going,
Right, right, right.
and I go, "Hey, just so you know, right outside the parking garage at my work is a shuttle station. You
Mhm.
can park in my garage because they weren't allowed to. Just say you work for Studio 550 or whatever. If they ask questions, you can have a couple of answers."
Jesus.
And he goes, "Okay." So he was too afraid that they were gonna ask him about it. So he went to a train station, took an Uber to my work, and got on the shuttle.
I gotta be honest, I would do that too. I wouldn't want an interaction where I have to say that I work with Craig,
There wouldn't be
That
an
seems like a
interaction.
whole
That was
black mark on your reputation.
that was like that would have been like, I don't know, DEFCON 6. There's no way anyone cared that much. I was just letting them know that there's an empty parking garage 10 feet from where you need to go.
Did I hear I got some tweet that they didn't say a name, so I couldn't look up the person, but they said someone at the top of the leaderboard in the Masters looks like me.
They didn't say a name?
No. It was very
Hmm,
annoying.
John Rahm?
It was Vijay Singh, I believe.
When
No, I'm not
August,
sure. Why do I
mid-August.
look like John Rahm?
He's the only one that has, like, your color hair that I can think of.
Huh. All right. Well, let me know, folks. Out there on Twitter. But yeah, so that was the wedding was fun. Nothing too crazy happened really.
I did get, for Father's Day, I got a new Blackstone 4-burner griddle. It's basically a
Ooh,
flat top grill. Oh, I got it Friday night because it came in early. I've cooked on it 5 times already,
how
and,
fun.
and I immediately realized that this was not a gift for me at all.
Your family just wants to eat for once.
Yeah, she's just sick of cooking. I'm making smash burgers later if anyone wants one.
That's what, by the way, after that Royce Lopez episode that we did, Mrs. Craig texted me and said, "I've never heard him make noises like that." She was disturbed by it. She didn't know what was going on.
We bonded.
Yes, they certainly did. Yeah, so Ted, speaking of Ted Sarandis, you're gonna want to skip that one, buddy. I'm just warning you now.
And I was talking
Um,
there was a delay too with us, so I would start talking and he would start talking like a second after me. So
oh yeah,
there's a couple instances of that. You guys just gonna have to deal with
that's the problem with StreamYard. That's why I like doing the episodes in studio, because the problem with StreamYard is it takes away any sort of conversational flow.
right. So I tried my best not to speak as much as possible.
Well, speaking of our friends in the podcasting world, I think Royce may be a friend now, but one of our other friends may need some help. He's in trouble.
Carl.
He's got a rivalry. We got to defend our boy, as I announced on patreon.com/blindmike this week. The Gearheads stand with Carl. So, if you want 3 people to tweet once at Stuttering John, Carl, you've come to the right place. You've got an army of half-hearted nincompoops on your side.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so Carl versus Stuttering John. I don't know if people are aware of this. I know we have a few WATP listeners here that are well aware that Stuttering John has been going after Carl, and now it's apparently really ramping up um, to the point where Stuttering John is claiming. So, in my opinion, Stuttering John is trying to build a case against Carl and prove damages so that he can sue Carl for X amount of dollars, whatever it'll end up being. Um, Case in point, the first bit of evidence of that. Do you have the tweet from him that I sent you from Tuesday? I think it was where John started talking about gigs that have been canceled of his.
Yes, let me pull that puppy up.
Yeah, so John is saying that the cancel culture mob is after him. And for those of you that don't know, and just remember Stuttering John from the Howard Stern show, he's apparently become a big liberal over the years, to the point where, do you remember when Neil Young and who else was it, like Joni Mitchell and those people pulled their shit off Spotify?
Yes, because of Rogan.
Yeah, because of Rogan. Well, Spotify didn't, their knees didn't buckle when Neil Young said, "I'm out of here." But they started to cave a little bit when Stuttering John said, "You know what, Spotify? I'm removing my content as well. The
Uh,
9 downloads that you get every week, no more. I won't support it anymore." So the Rogan versus Stuttering John era was crippling financially for Spotify.
Here's the tweet you sent me. Apparently, being an avid supporter of progressive values has hit me in the wallet.
Oh,
The
yeah.
the Alameda Comedy Club in Mesquite Street in Corpus Christi both canceled my gigs because of threats. Trolls call with threats of violence and giving them a bad review. Time to quit something I love.
First of all, John, no, it's not. You don't have to quit. Don't give up, John. As Stuttering John always says, when the going gets tough, just throw up your arms and walk away from your dreams.
When the going gets tough, I'm done.
when the going gets tough, why bother? Because 2 gigs were canceled because of his progressive values. Now, what's hilarious about what I was just talking about is John was fully on board with boycotting Spotify because Joe Rogan has a podcast on
Right.
there.
He's
And he goes after basically John's side of the aisle that he's aligned himself with has done this forever. Now, I heard Carl say that he does believe that this happened, that these comedy clubs did get calls, which is shitty. That shouldn't happen. And if it's anyone that listens to this podcast, you're a fucking idiot. You shouldn't do that, because even if you think, you're fucking with liberals or whatever, the point is not getting across. Now it's just everyone's getting canceled instead of one side.
you
You know
know
what I
what
mean? It's
you
silly
kn
to do.
yeah, you know what hurts more than canceling his gig? Having him go do it to 6 people.
Mm. That's another excellent point, Craig, because my real speculation as to why the gig got canceled is that it was not selling out. So if you listen to our friends at WATP a few weeks back, they played audio from one of Stuttering John's live shows. And Carl, to defend Carl in all this, so John is now insinuating that it's Carl from WATP who is sending these trolls after the comedy clubs. Carl, however, time and time again on air has said, "Don't fuck with John. Don't not even take calling the comedy clubs out of it, because obviously he's never said to do that. But he goes as far as to say, like, don't interrupt the show, don't yell out, don't fuck with him in any way. Observe and report. Go to the shows and tell us what happened," because that gives Carl hours of content to fuck with John. If you get his gigs canceled, then Carl can't talk about it. He loses content.
Exactly. Or if this legal thing actually takes off, a bunch of headaches.
Right. Yeah. And I texted him about it the other day, thinking he would kind of fuck around, and I could tell he was annoyed by it, because I think it's going to be like a pain in his life now,
Yeah.
which is just so shitty of John to do. again, if people are actually calling the comedy clubs, it's shitty of them as well. But John, in a way, is almost rubbing his hands together in excitement because now he has an excuse to go after Carl, even though he has nothing to do with this. But let's play a little from John's podcast the other day where he retires from much like Michael Scott himself. Stuttering John is retiring from comedy.
Thank you, Suzanne. I love you too.
Listen to this tone of
Very
voice.
simple.
This show stinks.
Sad though, you know. Look, I get that I have haters. I embrace it. Any celebrity does.
Okay, John, we haven't done enough on this show because I figure it's Carl's territory usually. But now John just deserves it because he's so delusional about who he is. And John, that sentence that we just played is why you are getting made fun of. It's not about Carl or Kevin or whatever you call him on Why Do We Podcast. John has this funny joke, by the way, if you don't know. He pretends not to know who Carl is, so he calls him Kevin from Why Do We Podcast. but he says it every time to the point where sometimes he slips up and actually says Carl, and then he goes, I mean Kevin. It's like, John, you fucking buffoon.
PJ Minahan says, I used to live 2 blocks from the Almeida Club. It used to be a Thai restaurant. I don't see Stuttering John selling out in the San Francisco Bay Area.
I like that John is being boycotted while diners are in there just trying to eat their meal, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
Like, is that Stuttering John from the Howard Stern show?
Wow, what's happened to him?
So John thinks of himself as like a celebrity, which he was on the show. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. So I guess that does technically qualify, but he hasn't been, quote, famous in a long time. Like, I would bet, I imagine a lot of people that listen to this podcast were Howard Stern fans or at least aware of Howard Stern. So, they know who Stuttering John is for sure. But if you go out and poll a random, even around our age, 30-year-old, 25-year-old, whatever, they're not going to know who the fuck Stuttering John is.
No.
But he thinks of himself as a celebrity. And it's this weird, you have to, a name they mentioned a couple weeks ago on WATP when they were talking about this. You know who Brian Dunkelman is?
No.
He was the other guy. If you go back and watch season 1 of American Idol, there were 2 Ryan Seacrests. The hosts of American Idol were Ryan Seacrest and Brian Dunkelman for a season. And Brian Dunkelman left. And now Ryan Seacrest is the biggest broadcaster on the planet. And Brian Dunkelman does stand up, I think, but no one really you didn't know who he was. No one really knows who he is, I don't think. But Brian Dunkelman shits on himself for that. He makes those jokes. Stuttering John is in a similar position where, he was a big deal for a long time. And now he's not, but he hasn't accepted that. If he played around with the idea that he used to be famous and now he isn't, and, now he goes to Pigwig's Pub and downs Coors Lights. If he had a little more fun with that, then people wouldn't shit on him as much. And that's my big issue with John today and why we're talking about him, because this could be settled so easily if he just went on with Carl or had Carl on. And the other thing is, I can't imagine being in John's position. And let's say he genuinely thinks that Carl's trolls are going after him and taking money out of his pocket. I can't imagine not reaching out to Carl in some form or fashion and either saying, let's talk about it on the podcast, or at least let's discuss this via email and figure out what the fuck is going on here.
Hey, man, do you mind just, I don't know, calling them off a little?
Yeah, hey, so that's all I was thinking about as I hear John pouting on this podcast, is if WATP turns on us someday. However I would handle it, maybe first I would reach out to Carl individually. But honestly, I would probably react and do an angry podcast that I would regret doing an hour later.
Yeah,
because that's usually how I fly off the handle. But whether I text Carl and just say hey man, what the fuck are you doing? Or go on air and say, hey Carl, what the fuck are you guys doing? It would be handled on air where John toes this weird line of pretending not to know who Carl is, yet claiming that they're ruining his life. It's a very strange procedure that he's going through that I don't understand.
Is this show like? How many people do you think listen to it, or is he just talking into a shoebox?
I really don't know. I don't think he releases his Patreon numbers. Which, to be fair, we didn't do that for a while because I didn't know how. It's just like I was like, "It's up, isn't it? Why? What do you mean I'm not showing it?"
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's because like he's embarrassed. John is a very, egotistical, prideful guy. So I imagine that's why he's not showing the numbers. My understanding is that everyone that listens to that show are WATP fans. So if you're going to accuse Carl of taking your money out of your pocket, you also have to kind of acknowledge that the reason you have listeners and people literally are subscribing to John's Patreon to get audio to send Carl.
Right.
So those people are literally paying you. And there are people in his chat like sending him super chats, money for super chats and shit like that, just because they want him to answer their questions so they can send it back to Carl. So literally these people are, paying his bills in some way.
It's gonna suck when Carl turns on us.
I know. That's why I'm defending. What do you think I'm doing here, for Christ's sake? I'm building loyalty so that never happens.
Yeah.
Because I gotta say, it would be pretty easy to pick apart. We're lucky Carl likes us. I think it'd be pretty easy to pick apart this show.
It's because you know what it is though. We don't take the people he goes for. They're bad shows, but they also take themselves so seriously, and that's always the funny part.
And the ones that don't end up being friends with him, like that guy. Remember the guy we had on, Vito Giswaldi?
Yeah.
His co-host Dick Masterson was a target of Carl. Like they made fun of his podcast once. He was a good sport about it. And now him and Carl do shows together.
That's how it works.
Like that's how easy it is to turn them, which John doesn't understand. Do you know how quickly, listen, I can't, Carl has never told me he would do this, but based on listening to the show, if John just once went on there and said, it's a shame those WATP guys make fun of me so much. I love them. I think they do a hilarious show. And when they bust on other people, I think they do a great job at it. Carl would melt in 5 seconds and be like, you know what, guys? We are a Stuttering John podcast now. We love Stuttering John.
Yeah, I get shit on a lot. For the most part, it's funny. So I think it's funny. It's when it's like, you're not even trying to be funny about it. It's like, why are you
well, the shitheads are always annoying. But here's the problem. You can't blame Carl for the shitheads.
No.
You know what I mean? Like there's no podcaster is, you've seen people try to do this with the Barstool and Minifans and Rogan and all these, in any influential podcast. When they have fans say shit online, the host of the podcast, or, in Portnoy's case, whatever he is, the head of Barstool, gets blamed for it for some reason. And I guess what these people want them to do is like go out and say, hey, knock it off. But in many cases they do. Like I've heard Kirk say a million times, like, don't be a true cunt. If you want to make jokes online, do that, but don't fucking do anything crazy. And Carl has literally said, like, don't ruin the guy's life. We're just here to make fun of him. We're here to make jokes. But they ignore that. Like I've heard John talk on the podcast, which we'll play a little more of, but they ignore that because it doesn't help their argument.
Yeah, how do you think I feel, dude? I do a show with Stuttering Mike Harris.
A poor man, Stuttering John. Well, that's the other thing too, is like, speaking of poor man Stuttering John, like what the fuck do you think I am? So I kind of know you have to do that shit too. You can't, and I've let it get to me before, and it drove me fucking crazy. So I understand being in that position, but John's problem is a complete lack of self-awareness and thinking he's above other people. Like thinking he's above, and pick a cast off from the Howard Stern show, fucking Grillo or someone like that. John thinks he's well above those guys, and he's not. He's in the same. He's in the exact same boat.
Yeah, for the most part too, it's like if I get shit, if it's funny, I'll retweet it, and if it's like kind of funny, I'll just be like, oh, that's hurtful, and see if they think I'm
Right.
serious or not. And a lot of times it's just like, I'm just fucking around.
That's usually what it is.
I'm like,
Like,
okay.
the guy, I told you, that guy that messaged us and was like, you fucking idiots. You don't know that the Bus Boys were a band. If I didn't bother, because like, why engage? But if I had messaged him back and was like, oh, sorry about that, man. Like, I just didn't realize, I didn't really care too much about the band that opened for him. But you're right. I probably should have looked into that before I spouted off. He would have been like, oh, I'm so, I didn't even know if you read this. I'm sorry. Like, they're pussies at the end of the day, a lot of these people. So just have a little fun with them for once, John.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's hear a little more from his pouting session here.
All right.
I get it. Lauren Ipsum, thank you for the $5.
These are all super chats that he's getting.
Yeah.
I have no problem with people hating on me.
You do.
I really don't. You want to go on Reddit, and go to Dabblers Anonymous or whatever you go on. Hello, Kate Friedman. Thanks for the $5. Fine.
So hold on a second here. He's talking. Dabblers Anonymous is, I believe, a Reddit page dedicated to Stuttering John.
In a good or bad way.
Well, take a guess. It's Reddit. What do you think? Hey, I think this guy's doing a lot of great work.
There is not one single Reddit page like that, except for maybe like NASA.
Well, it would have to be so far out of the world, like it has to be so far out of like podcasting. It would have to be like, raising your kids with blindness. Although that's probably got a few shitheads in there.
Yeah. And like we've talked about it many times, like the Fighter and the Kid Reddit page has more or less
it's a cesspool.
Well, it's more or less been Opie and Anthony more or less took over it, that crowd.
Right. Yeah. People are just looking for a place to vent. But John's problem when he says, I don't care, I don't care about the hate. Go to Dabblers Anonymous, go to Reddit and shit on me. John has left his email inbox on the screen while he broadcasts sometimes. Yeah. And people have seen messages, him going back and forth with Reddit, literally trying to get these pages shut down. So he doesn't know. It's always great when someone doesn't know that we know they're lying. Like, we have literal evidence showing that he's lying. And he's like, hey, please have fun on Reddit all day. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm mad about. He's literally spent energy trying to ruin them.
It sounds too like he's the way he's broadcasting here. It sounds like he just got off of the battlefield. He's like,
he sounds very defeated.
Yeah.
Like, I left it all out there. I gave it everything I got. Meanwhile, like 2 gigs got canceled, and he threw the towel in.
How many gigs?
He's like, well, I guess I'll just never work again. I'm retiring from comedy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How many gigs does he have lined up? Because normally I don't think that would be a real big deal.
Well, so he gets into it a little, but like his manager apparently, as John put it, doesn't deal in contracts. So I don't think they ever had anything signed. And so my suspicion is that the club did get calls of a couple shitheads, making up whatever about John and saying some horse shit that was not complimentary. But when the club paired that with the fact that 6 tickets had been sold, they said, all right, you know what? We're not going to deal with it. John, gig's canceled. We don't feel like having 2 people here and they're both going to riot,
Go away.
Just, leave us alone. Because if, Carl used the example of Dave Smith. I didn't realize this when Dave Smith went to Rochester. He had like Antifa protesters calling the club and saying, you can't book Dave Smith, blah, blah, blah. And the club loved it because it was a sold out show and it got attention on their comedy club.
I wonder what the difference is.
I can't imagine. I don't know the numbers of John's ticket sales, but I suspect that may have been the fly in the ointment, as it were.
I believe so.
If you want to skip ahead to the second time stamp I sent you, is when that's when John starts to explain a little more why he's so down. We're hearing a very sad John Melendez.
Yeah, 1 second.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks for $5. He was another
He's getting
friend.
so much money.
Oh shit! Wrong time stamp. My fault. My fault. It's 13.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say this guy's getting $5 all over the place.
I'm putting fake
Here we go.
review. Okay. I'm not putting any fake reviews. As much as Crying Ryan
Oh,
would like to
pause.
read.
I'm sorry. This is another thing that Carl exposed. So what he's addressing here is people saying that now that comedy club, the Amelita, whatever the fuck it was, if you go on their Yelp page, they're getting trashed. They're getting some reviews that are less than complimentary. And people are saying, clearly, these are Stuttering John burner accounts. And John's saying, that's not me. But before we listen to this, just know that Carl went on his podcast and read reviews from years past from Stuttering John, where he uses the same language. Like, these reviews said things like, what was the phrase? Oh, avoid this place like the plague. And that is a phrase that John, both on air and online, has used when he has said, like, boycott someplace. He says, avoid this place like the plague.
Now, in John's defense, that is a semi-popular phrase.
Sure. And it's vague, but it does seem like shit John would say.
I'm just trying to help.
And no, I agree with you. Like, it's not what it's what we would call circumstantial evidence.
Correct.
But if you pair that with the fact that it happened the day John's gigs got canceled and no one else would really give a shit about it,
well, the
that leads me to believe.
Yeah.
But let's hear John talk about that a little more.
His ridiculous theories, because he's embedded in my life. He's entrenched with my life. They like to accuse me of having sock accounts called Dumbass and Dumbo and all this other bullshit.
This show
that
is 2
has
hours
no
long.
basis.
Oh yeah,
no basis in reality. It's just this is what they do because they have no life. So, as you know, I had a gig at Mesquite Street in Corpus Christi in June. Good money. Money I could use for my family. Hey, my youngest son is 16. I'm still paying for his child support. I'm still paying for his driver's ed, for his SAT prep, for his...
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, first of all, as a parent.
Well, you're not a piece of shit dad, so that's good.
I always like that when I would hear dads. On Father's Day, I wouldn't disparage my own father. I'm just talking about fathers in general. When I hear them like bitching about having to pay child support, it's like, well, you're kind of supposed to.
It's not.
Pay
It's
for
not.
Pay
It's
for your
not.
kids.
Yeah, it's not a slight at the kids. It's a slight at the mom for just trying to drain the dads for as much money as possible. That's all that is.
Sure, but like the kids shouldn't hear about it, I guess is my point.
No.
I shouldn't have to politely agree with you as you vent to me about that. Again, not saying that happened to me ever.
The women always get away with everything. They get everything. They get the child support, the house, the kids, everything.
Craig's the most, by the way, I met Mrs. Craig, lovely woman. Craig is the most bitter, happily married man I've ever met.
I know people going through divorce right now, and it's just frustrating to watch.
I understand. Well, yeah, that is how these broads are. They manipulate and they suck you dry.
And I will
Not
say,
the way you want.
He actually, my buddy actually got, I would say the upper hand in the divorce, sort of.
Well, good. Finally, men are starting to get the upper hand again.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hear a very sad. Oh, but let me say this first,
Mrs. Craig.
That does suck. If he is losing money because some asshole called the club, that does suck, and I sympathize with him for that.
Big time.
My only point here is he's not handling it the right way at all.
No, and Carl's never said he's a dickhead. He's just bad at doing a show.
Yes. Well, I think Carl has learned he is kind of a dickhead because of the way he's handled Carl saying that he's bad at his show. But yeah, Carl is making fun of your public job. That's what you open yourself up to. And sometimes it sucks. And I've certainly not handled it well at times in the past. And I think everyone deals with that, where you have moments where you're like, what the fuck? Why am I dealing with this? This sucks, whatever. But my point is, John is playing the victim here. And he really loves that. Like, he loves getting people's sympathy. But the issue is no one that's listening to him is falling for his bullshit.
Well, the other thing too, it's like, like I said, I hear shit about why you laughing all the time, and maybe I would think differently if it wasn't growing each week. You know,
Right.
if you hated it so much, you wouldn't listen to it. That's how I look at it.
Well, that's the angle John should take, is like, hey, obviously Carl loves me. You know, like, Carl can't go a week without listening to my podcast. Like, these guys are fans. Sure, they make fun of it, but like, that's the reason you have an audience, John. If people weren't making fun of you, people wouldn't be listening, because you do kind of a mockable podcast, John. You just got to accept that.
All he's got to do is call Carl gay and say he's obsessed with him, and then he'll win.
Yes. All the great victors. I believe Abraham Lincoln said that.
Yeah, those his last words at that play. Man, this is pretty gay. Bang.
All right. Let's hear a little more from John.
I pay all these bills. Yeah, my ex pays too. Well, not
I take care of my kids.
She does her part.
Yeah.
What, you want, a cookie?
I told my agent from Golden Artists Entertainment to warn Mesquite Street in Corpus Christi that
Out with it, John. Jesus.
my trolls
Well, that's why this show
will
is
do their best
2 hours and 30 minutes
to cancel my gig. My agent didn't warn them.
I like the idea of John's agent riding in like Paul Revere.
bastard.
Mesquite Street, heed my warning. Trolls are coming.
Does Stuttering John have a website?
I imagine, yeah.
I
I
want
know
to
he's
see.
on Patreon, but I don't know if he has like a website with his dates or anything. Probably.
Yeah, dates. I'll say.
Well, not anymore. He doesn't, because he's quit comedy.
Oh, that's real. That was real.
Oh, he's retired from comedy. Yeah.
Oh, what a friggin' loser. Never mind. I take back every defense I had.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is like, whatever John is dealing with, if that is true, that people are calling the club, that does suck. But what he wants is, and don't get it twisted, he doesn't think Carl is calling this comedy club. I don't believe he thinks that. But what John is doing is inserting politics into it somehow. Like, he's saying, he goes on and he has some guest on, Tony Michaels or Tony Mitchell, whatever the fuck his name is. And they start calling WATP fans racists. And it's like, oh, these white supremacists are calling to get your gigs canceled. First of all, I've listened to WATP. I've been on WATP. These are not men with a political agenda. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, my perception is that Carl might lean one direction.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't really know that from listening to the podcast. You know what I mean? Like, I think the fact that he likes Anthony Cumia probably means he leans in one direction, but he doesn't go on these political tirades on air. But they want it to be political so badly that they start inserting that. Also, they want Carl to be the culprit for these harassing phone calls because John wants an excuse to sue him. Now, luckily, this is good news for us too, being Patreon content creators. Carl won his appeal. John did like a copyright strike on Carl's Patreon, so he had to take down his videos for a while, and Patreon granted Carl the appeal and said you're allowed to post Stuttering John content still. So that's the good news.
Have you read his website before?
I have not.
In all caps, it says, I don't do politics in my stand-up, but when it comes to my podcast, I am dedicated to taking down the dotard known
Stop
as
yelling at me, John.
It's all in caps. The dotard known as Donald Trump, it says.
When
Please
was
press
the last time this
donate
was updated?
Please press the donate button to keep the podcast going to guarantee his fat ass is voted out in November. This thing.
Hey, John, mission accomplished.
Oh, you want to? What about his upcoming events, Mike? Do you want to know about those?
Oh, I want to get to that in a second, but I'm sorry. What are you donating to?
Just him.
So you're donating John money to ensure that that Donald Trump is removed from office?
Yep, I would say he's not quite up to date.
Well, it's not up to date, but also I'd like let's flash back. Let's pretend we're in June of 2020. Let's go back a couple of years in time. So I got $10 in my hand,
Yep.
and I say I really want to use this $10 to get that red-headed piece of shit out of office, or orange-headed, whatever he is.
Yep.
What's the best way to spend this money? Where can I put this $10? Does Stuttering John have a website? I hope so. Then I get on Google and I think, oh, thank God, he has a button I can click to send him money to get Donald Trump out of office. What the fuck is he talking about?
In upcoming events, it says the Laugh Factory from September 28th, 2021 to October 3rd, 2021.
Well, I say we hop in the DeLorean and get down there. It sounds like a hell of a night.
Must have been great.
It sounds like a lovely show.
There's another show, The Laugh Factory, on October 25th, 2021 to Halloween night, 2021.
Also, the Laugh Factory is a place like you don't have to promote the gigs there. It's just a club that people go to in Los Angeles.
Right. It was Reno, Nevada, and Las Vegas, Nevada.
And one of these?
Last year.
Oh, good. All right. I'm glad he's consistent on his website. I would hate there for there to be any future dates.
Yeah. No, nothing. I was gonna say if he's coming around, we gotta definitely go.
Well, folks, if you got money to spend, either go to blindmike.net, patreon.com/blindmike. Go there.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to patreon.com/verygoodshow.
I also copied your business model because I thought it was a lot better. So you can just go to verygoodshow.org.
Oh, good. Yes, it's a very prestigious organization. You can go to verygoodshow.org to donate to Craig, or hit up Stuttering John's website and donate, because maybe one day we'll get Donald Trump out of office. Actually, you know what, guys? Venmo me, Blind Mike Geary on Venmo, because I really think this impeachment of Bill Clinton is going to go through. I think this guy has gotten his rocks off in the Oval Office for the last time. He lied about it under oath, and I am fighting for you guys. We're going to get Clinton ousted.
We're going to raise money.
So make sure you donate to me on Venmo.
Yeah, we're going to raise money for Reagan's hospital bills.
Poor Ronnie Reagan. He's losing his marbles a little bit. He's and so we are raising money specifically for his Alzheimer's.
He got shot by that Shattuck lookalike. Don't forget.
What's John Hinckley up to? Has he made any new songs lately?
Oh, by the way, we actually didn't talk about that. That gig in Brooklyn got canceled.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why? Is it Carl from WATP? Is he behind this?
They apparently got enough blowback that they went, maybe we shouldn't have a guy who attempted to assassinate the president of the United States play here.
Well, this is clearly another victim of Carl's cancel culture machine.
I don't know what's going to happen to Schwinn now, though, because they tried to take out Biden yesterday.
That's a fun. Jerry would like that. Save that for Monday.
I wasn't expecting to record before then. So
we'll pretend we didn't hear it.
It did just come to me just now, so maybe I'll have something else for tomorrow. KFC
hear just
on that was actually very funny.
I don't know that I saw it.
Yeah, he did a 1 minute man on Biden falling off his bike. It was pretty funny.
We don't listen. I'm trying to cancel KFC here.
That's right.
We're trying to hit him in the wallet.
That's
so
true.
Donate to my web again. Blind Mike Geary on Venmo. If you want to cancel KFC.
Yeah, that's the new.
Whatever money you donate, I'm going to bribe Erica Nardini to fire Kevin Clancy.
Erica Nardini's pretty busy right now with this Vince McMahon lawsuit.
Well, once she sees my $40 that I'm offering, I think suddenly it'll catch her attention.
I can't look into this business tampering about Vince McMahon. I got $40 to take down Kevin.
Boy, there are some wild accusations there, huh?
With Vince?
Yeah, I forgot that. That wasn't even on our list today, but Jesus Christ.
Well, I remembered actually yesterday or today I was driving. They're like, yeah, someone kept saying the WWE board is investigating. I'm like, Nardini's on that.
She certainly is, yeah.
So maybe she'll have a good podcast about it after.
Yeah. Well, she's got Frank the Tank looking into it. I think she's got the right people on the case.
Robbie Fox. He did nothing wrong.
Yeah. But that is like they're accusing him of like legitimate rape, like some horrible shit.
No, that was from the 80s. That accused.
So?
Well, they already proved that wasn't true.
Oh, I thought you meant. I mean, we all raped in the 80s.
No. Yeah,
it was a wild time.
It was a different time. No, it was a WWE referee, this woman who made the mistake of saying she had sex with Vince McMahon a whole bunch of times to a whole bunch of people, and then she tried to accuse him of rape like 5 or 6 years later, and everyone was like, "Well, she told us that they had sex, but she never mentioned that."
But there was another rape accusation in there too, wasn't there?
I only saw the one.
Keep in mind, I merely read a Twitter thread. So
this one is some woman, which I don't get how this comes out if you sign a NDA. She got like $3 million, not to say anything.
Calling her a blabbermouth. That's good.
It was all consensual. That's the fact with this new one. The problem is, so he gave her $1 million up front and then like $2 more million over the next 3 years or something like that is how it worked out. The problem was she got hired as a paralegal with like $100,000 salary. Yep. And then it bumped up to $200,000, and they're trying to figure out if he did that because of what was going on with them or if it was prior to.
Right.
And that's where the big problem is with the company.
Yeah. I'll say, speaking of, to compliment KFC, God, what are we doing? We have terrible. This show is not a program that can handle enemies, because I'm about to compliment Kevin for the second time on this show. But I thought he put it pretty well, where he tweeted out some of the stuff about Vince, and he was like, some of the accusations are horrible, some are expected, and like he's like, honestly, like some kind of made me laugh because there was a time where, we didn't look at these things the same way that we do now. And the one story that involved Patrice O'Neal, by the way, I don't know if you saw that.
With Vince?
Yeah, so one of the people that was like tweeting shit out about the Vince McMahon story tweeted out a clip from O&A years ago of Patrice telling a story for when he used to write for WWE or WWF at the time.
I think he did that for like 3 months.
Yeah, and the way Patrice put it is, he goes, I got to meet Steve Austin. That was enough for me. That was good. But there was some character where it was like an Indian guy, and Vince made him put on a turban for this character, whatever it was. And I if I remember correctly, I think it was like not that long after 9/11. And the guy was like, please, this is like, denigrating to my people. It's humiliating. I really don't want to do this. And Vince was like, you're putting on the turban.
You know what? Add a suicide
like, Jesus Christ.
Well, dude, how about
he punishes them.
Yeah. You've heard of Yokozuna, right?
Yes.
So he was that big, fat Japanese wrestler.
Okay.
He basically wears Samoan. He wasn't Japanese. He was Samoan. He was walking out with like the Japanese flag and everything.
Yeah, well, it was a different time. You could culturally appropriate back then,
Sure could.
As Craig says, back in the 80s, you could rape, you could, it was fun.
That's not what I said. I said the accusations back then.
Well, that's not how we'll all portray it.
I'm sure PGA is in the lab right now.
I didn't realize we did an hour on Stuttering John. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, it was about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, good.
Maybe a little longer, but not terribly long.
Do you want to play this? Yeah, so support our pals, the WATP, because I think John is gearing up for it's coming to a head. Something's going to happen here, whether it's John finally giving in and no longer acknowledging WATP, or going full board and trying to ruin them, whatever he's going to do. I think it's there's a climax coming soon, and it's not just Craig with Royce Lopez. But Do we want to play this Amber Heard sound before we get out of here?
More than anything.
So this was my favorite thing from the week. You guys have now, by this point, probably heard it, but Amber Heard did an interview with the Today Show, and she had some questions to answer after the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. We didn't talk about it a lot, but obviously it swept the nation and
Yep.
mostly TikTok. To the point where, did I mention this recently? But on Hulu, there's already a documentary about the Heard Depp trial.
I don't know if you were in, but they were talking about it on KMS.
I think I was in. Maybe we talked about it. But that's like it's like if every day a documentary came out about yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like we just saw this. Why are you telling us?
Everything's an episode of South Park.
Yeah, right.
6 days.
But this was obviously the the highlight from the interview, where people were calling out Amber Heard, saying she's putting on a performance. It seemed like she was acting a lot, and Amber Heard says, "Oh, really? Well, the jerk store called, and they're all out of you." She nails Depp and his attorney here.
In the closing arguments, the Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Now, Amber, what do you mean convinced? Johnny Depp has scissors for fingers, does he not?
Might I add, they were scissor hands, not fingers.
Well, but the snipping mechanisms were his fingers. The base were his hands, I assume, where you put your fingers through.
Oh, God, her PR team sucks.
Now, it's funny, though, because I watched, like I said, we didn't talk about it a lot, but I watched parts of the trial, and I kept saying, there's Johnny. So he's not showing his hands, probably because he's self-conscious about those scissors. Johnny, please raise your right scissor and swear that you will tell the whole truth.
Just listen to this.
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Fucking nailed him.
He doesn't.
Fuck yeah.
I get her point, and it's wrong, but I get what she's going for. But the phrasing makes me wonder, does she think that we as a country watched Edward Scissorhands and said, it's unbelievable that they found that guy to play the role he was made for? They found the guy with scissor hands to lose himself in that role. It's unbelievable.
The way she says scissors for fingers, like thinking she nailed it.
Excuse me, point counterpoint.
She had scissors for fingers?
She's treating this like it's Jenny Slate saying she couldn't play a half black character because she's not half black.
Did you guys know? Yeah, did you guys know that my ex-husband was a international cocaine smuggler?
I like what year was Edward Scissorhands? Like early 90s, I think.
I'll tell you. Like 97, maybe.
I like to imagine my parents going out on a date.
1990.
I like to imagine my parents going out on a date. I was not born yet. So my parents, still had a life. They still had the whole world ahead of them. They weren't, shackled by this burden that they were about to bring into the world. They go out. Let's catch a flick, as was often done in the 80s. Let's catch this. Ooh, the kid from 21 Jump Street is in a movie. Let's see that. and then they go to the film, and they've seen 21 Jump Street. So they know the character Tommy Hansen. They know he has human fingers. And when they see Edward Scissorhands on screen, and I know this happened because they told me as a kid, my father walked out of the theater in a huff and said, I demand my money back because I will not contribute to a film that is going to appropriate in the manner they did. You will hire an actor with scissor hands or you will not get my $8. Which is, I imagine that's how much movies cost back then.
Yes, $8. I think it was actually like 4, probably 4.50.
Yeah, well, he's a gentleman. He paid for my mother as well.
It's true, $9.
But I like convinced America. Like we're like, wait a minute, he doesn't.
Whoa!
Oh, now you're gonna tell me he's not a pirate.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you mean to say, Amber? Is he not Hunter S. Thompson and Whitey Bulger? Is he not both of those men?
He's done quite a few illegal things, if you ask me.
Oh, he wasn't one of the world's great cocaine dealers. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
He
That
wasn't
his
eaten by a
career
bed?
after 21 Jump Street didn't lead him to moving large quantities of blow. Is that what you're trying to say, Amber?
And just so you know, he's actually a zombie because in his first movie, he gets eaten by a bed in Nightmare on Elm Street.
He's had quite the life, this Johnny Depp.
What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I know Kirk has said, and we've not long after that, I said he was already proven right. He said years down the road, people are going to take Amber Heard's side, and I've already seen you know who Corinne Fisher is,
Yeah.
the comedian, and I like her, and I like the guys we fucked girls a lot. But Corinne has been on this crusade of like basically, if you're against Amber Heard, you're against women, that sort of thing.
Yeah, she doesn't count.
And I'm like, well, you're missing the point here is that it's not you should believe women that are telling the truth. It's just across the board, everyone thinks Amber Heard is lying. That's the problem.
Did this interview come out and Corinne Fisher go, "Fuck, my life's work's been for nothing"?
That's what it seemed like. She was having a bit of a meltdown on Twitter. Yeah.
Terrible.
And like I said, I like Corinne, but you're right. It seems like people, you know, hinge their careers on a certain side, and when it doesn't go the way they're rooting for it, which is weird to have like a rooting interest in a case like this. You know what I mean? They're both shitheads. Like they both look like shitheads.
Correct.
Correct. Well, speaking of comedians, real quick, do you want to play this Marc Maron sound before we get out of here?
Whatever you want.
Let's do that. So our boy Lieutenant Kirk tipped me off to this. Marc Maron is at it again. Every time I think he's getting better. We played him with Dean Del Rey, where he was talking about, you know, trying to be less bitter, and it seemed like he was having sort of a, you know, very self-aware, reflective moment. But then he always manages to revert to this. So let's see if you can figure out who he's talking about here in the comedy community.
Just what is happening to comedy. And, you know, Greg and I deal with it personally, politically, implications of societal implications on the culture. A lot of what I've been talking about, this sort of tribalization of comedy. This idea, the co-opting of the philosopher king comedian model, or the rebel truth-telling comedian model that was once only applied to maybe 4 comics. You know who they are. There was a generation of comics in the 50s and some in the 60s. You can count them on one hand. You know, you're talking Lenny Bruce, you're talking, you know, Pryor in a different way. You're talking people like Godfrey Cambridge, Dick Gregory, talking people like Carlin later, but still Hicks, handful. But the right and the, you know, quote unquote free thinker crowd, the people with dumpster fires in their brains with all the answers and a lot of labels: woke, commie, socialist, big pharma, a lot of labels for people.
Sounds funny.
Minimizers.
He's so bitter and angry.
All
So,
think the same
well,
thing.
hold on one second. So what I don't understand is like what we're about to hear. I assume he's talking about Chappelle and Ricky Gervais, right?
Mhm.
What does he genuinely think they're like right wingers? Like, I get that that's who's defending them. I understand that. But like, do you think Chappelle was voting for fucking Donald Trump, or
Well,
he'll vote for DeSantis in the next election?
When I saw his George Floyd special, I went, "Wow, what a patriotic
Right-wing lunatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild. He's taken this crusade, and this is what I don't understand. Like, Marin thinks he's, you know, standing for something here, but it's cloaked in jealousy. Like he's angry at Rogan. He's talking about Rogan as well. But I think this is more targeted at Ricky and Chappelle. And I don't understand the political angle that he keeps trying to inject in this. It's very weird.
And have leaders, and some of them are comics. And some comics present themselves as revolutionary voices, but they're truly hack cowards. There's no vulnerability in it. Lack of respect for marginalized voices, for people already under the pressure. The goal should be to bring us all together. I can't say that I can do it, and I can't say that I necessarily even joke in that way.
Is that really what you think George Carlin's goal was, to bring us all together? When he had a bit about how he really likes to watch a lot of people die. George Carlin, who couldn't release an album because he talked about wanting mass amount of people to die, and it was supposed to come out, or it was recorded the day before 9/11.
Yes.
That guy wanted to bring us all together. Now, listen, I think George Carlin is a revolutionary voice and was a genius, but like the idea that comedians are supposed to be like these peacemakers is fucking silly. And clearly he's talking about Gervais there, because I don't think he thinks of Chappelle as a hack. I can't believe that. Like, I don't think he likes Chappelle particularly, but I think he's aware that Dave is a good comedian. So I think he's talking about Gervais there. But like, call Ricky what you want. He's certainly funny. I didn't think to Maron's point, I didn't think Ricky Gervais' special was particularly groundbreaking material or anything I hadn't heard before as far as premises. But it's not hack. Like, he's a funny guy.
Right.
So this bitterness that comes out of Maron is very frustrating. And the reason Lieutenant Kirk, who always alerts me to these Maron drops, I think he was a fan of Maron, and that's why he's always aware of them. And this has to be frustrating to Maron fans, because Maron is a funny guy. Like, he's a good comic. And his podcast, the first 10 years of his podcast were him like coming out of this bitter, angry, self-loathing that he had, and him kind of learning from that and evolving as a person. And it seems like now he's just reverted back to where he was, 10 years ago.
Yeah, the Louis episode was the best case of that. I loved that episode.
Yeah, we had the same conversation 8 years ago, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Louis, by the way, back on, you can get it on his website.
Yes, that's right. I did see that. I got an email from him.
Yes. And he put out some video with Bobby Kelly where they talked about it.
Oh, on his website?
Yeah. Oh, no, on YouTube.
Oh, I have to look at that.
Yeah.
I'm at Texas Roadhouse. When is the next TV time capsule? I'll hang up and listen.
Well,
it's definitely
Tuesday. It's definitely Quincy.
Yeah, that's
folks. If you want to go to blindmike.net, if nothing's hooked you enough to subscribe yet, you're going to want to go to blindmike.net and make sure that you tune into our Quincy watch-alongs, because that's really all I want to do from here on out.
Are they all on YouTube?
The ones I've looked for so far are on YouTube. But here's something. I think Justin Trudell may have been correct. If you remember, when Justin was looking up, he said something to the effect of, like, I think they're 90-minute episodes. Every episode I found so far is like an hour and 15 minutes with commercials taken out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I think Quincy might have been a 90-minute show.
The fucking Mittman's gonna be like, are you doing this again? Yeah, Quincy, it's pretty important. All right.
Yeah, Bruce, I only need 2 hours in the middle of the day, if you don't mind.
Well, whenever we record, I usually count that as my quote lunch break.
Good.
He doesn't care if I do it, but I just, especially if we're recording a lot that week, I'll be like, I'm doing it on my time, I swear.
Important things are happening, Bruce. Quincy is being analyzed.
It was funny. He left the office early on Thursday, and I was like, "Oh, where are you going?" And he goes, "I'm actually going to Fenway Park to take batting practice." And I went, "What?"
Was he actually doing that?
Yeah. I need
a strange little guy.
I need video so bad.
His strike zone has to be a pin needle.
Yeah, he's a short fella.
Well, good for Bruce, slugging him off the monster. Let's hear a little more from Maron.
On fire. Things are at risk. Why are we running around hurting people?
He's talking about telling jokes, right?
And I don't know, the more I think about it, like, what happened to alternative comedy? Was there a point of view there? Was there some sort of momentum that, I use that word momentum a lot. Was there some sort of collective community that was obviously more embracing in a way, but did it have a point of view? But I just wanted to engage somebody who's thinking about things in the area that I am.
So this kind of led me to hearing him go on this rant, kind of led me to also getting annoyed with Gerard Carmichael, who did an interview this week where he talked about Dave Chappelle and said, basically, like, why are you dying on this hill of, transgender talk? Which there's part of me that understands that, because as a Chappelle fan, I'm kind of like, all right, dude, like, let's get back to making fucking, Sesame Street jokes. Like, let's have a little fun here once in a while,
Yeah.
So I get it. But Gerard Carmichael and people that are angry about Chappelle talking about these topics are exactly why he's doing it.
Well,
Like, if you watch,
I was gonna say, if his
What'd you
next
say?
special is called like T words hate me, and he just does an hour on it, I'll laugh.
right, because now it's getting to the point where he's going to have, because that's what people want from him in their outrage. Like, you're begging him to talk about it again.
Right.
So it's a little annoying that you're like, we just want it to go away. Why are you still talking about us? Why do you keep talking about us? When if you didn't walk out of Netflix, if you didn't protest Chappelle's special, if you didn't attack him on stage, then no one would be talking about The Closer.
No
like
one.
I remember I did a review on it the day it came out before anyone made a big issue of it. And I was like, man, it was okay.
You liked it more than I did.
Yeah, I think I liked it more than a lot of people, because most people were like, we got it, dude. Like, his fans were like, yeah, we got it. Enough of the trans stuff. We understand your point of view.
It wasn't even that. It was more or less like a speech with a punchline every 20 minutes.
Right. But then you made us all defend the special by getting mad about it. And by saying that it shouldn't be heard by human ears. Well, now you're saying that we have to defend it. And we have to keep it on Netflix, because taking it down would be the opposite of what you want. You're silencing a group.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're saying trans people don't have a voice. They have a very loud voice, because it's the only reason Chappelle is still talking about this shit. And Ricky in his special literally said, the only reason I'm talking about it is to get a rise out of you.
Right.
And it works to perfection.
This is how you're going to respond to it, I bet. No,
So, yeah, right. So if Maron wants to bring up names like Carlin and Lenny Bruce and Richard Pryor, these guys were fighting against the mob, like the people attacking comedians for the words they were saying on stage. Well, now you're part of the mob. You shouldn't be holding up people like Lenny Bruce and George Carlin and Richard Pryor, because people wanted them silenced. And now you are one of those people, Gerard Carmichael and Marc Maron.
exactly.
It's fucking crazy. So, I don't know. From Stuttering John to Marc Maron, all the greats in comedy we've covered today.
Yeah. Two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Well, listen. You can go to patreon.com/verygoodshow, or you can go to verygoodshow.org.
Yeah. Buy merch.
It's
We
fun.
have new shirts up right now.
There's nothing where, like, to be there's no qualifications to be a .org?
No, I found out. No, we're an organization.
That's disappointing. Yeah, so go to verygoodshow.org for the Craigster. Or you can come over to blindmike.net. We've made it easier to find us, finally. Come to blindmike.net. Subscribe to the Patreon. Buy some merch if you'd be so kind. If you can't or just don't want to support the show financially, that's also fine. But what I would ask you to do then, because you made it this far into the podcast, obviously you like something we're doing, then just go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, subscribe, give us a like, give us 5 stars. All that stuff helps the show, supposedly. So That's a free way that you can help out.
We'd appreciate it greatly.
And I guess that's it. Happy Father's Day to all you crazy kids out there without a dad in the world. Daddy is saying Happy Father's Day. And happy Juneteenth, more importantly.
Until then, have yourself a great day. And as always, rock on.